Okay, so let's start. My name is Olga Anatolievna. I'm a teacher of English language from Nazarbayev Intellectual School. And today we are going to talk about travel and transport, and you will practice listening skills. We will listen for gist and specific information. We will also read for gist and specific information. We will do some writing. We will create some travel tips for tourists. And of course, we shall do a lot of speaking practice. So let's move on. And I want you to talk in pairs. And then in 1 minute, you will have to tell me what means of transport you can see in the picture. So please, 1 minute, be quick. Okay, so who can tell me what kind of transport can you see on the slide?
Yes.
Can you tell me what you can see? Можете мне сказать, какие виды транспорта вы видите на слайде? What means of transport can you see? So what is this black car on the top? What do we call it?
Презентация ваша на первом слайде стоит.
Извините, что?
Презентация на первом слайде ваша стоит. Вы не тот экран демонстрируете.
Сейчас еще раз. Sorry. Can you see the slide now? Видно сейчас слайд?
Да, видно.
Thank you. Спасибо. So who can tell me what kind of transport can you see? What's this black car on the top? Ребята, черная машина наверху, это что у нас? Кто здесь есть? Подключайтесь, пожалуйста. Чуть-чуть поактивнее. That is a taxi, right? And do you know what a taxi is called in England, in London?
This cab.
Yes, that's true. It's a cab. It's called a cab in London. So here next to it, we can see a big red bus. What is it called in London? Do you know why is it special? Чем отличается красный автобус на картинке от других автобусов?
Red bus, double decker.
Good. That's a red double-decker bus. Good. Let's move on. And here we can see some words. We can see a taxi. Sorry, I have missed an underground. Underground, metro, right? A taxi, an underground, and a bus. And that's a very special bus called a double-decker. Okay, let's move on. And I want you to talk in pairs again. And I want you to use correct prepositions by or on. Do we travel by or on? A taxi, an underground, a bus, a plane, and foot. When we travel with this car, special car called a taxi or a cab? Do we say by or on? We travel by a taxi, на такси. We travel by an underground, на метро. We travel by a bus or a double-decker and by a plane. Путешествуем на транспорте, we use by with that. The only exception is travel on foot. Да? Исключение из правила, мы не используем, со всеми видами транспорта используем by, а когда мы пешком путешествуем куда-то, на достопримечательности посещаем, мы говорим on foot. Let's move on. And when we travel with these kinds of transport, are we in or on a taxi, an underground, a bus, and a plane? Who wants to speak? Please be quick. Ребят, подключайтесь. Мы говорим in a taxi или on a taxi? Right you are. Правильно. We travel in a taxi, but we travel on an underground, a bus, and a plane, right? Do you know how we decide? Знаете, как мы решаем in или on использовать? If we can stand inside the transport, we use on. If we cannot stand inside, we use in. То есть, ребята, когда мы внутри транспорта, любого вида транспорта, можем встать на ноги, да, мы говорим we travel on, да? Мы можем стоять внутри автобуса, внутри самолета, внутри метро. We travel on a plane, underground and bus. But we travel in a cab. Мы путешествуем на такси in, да, используем, потому что внутри машины мы на ноги встать не можем. Нам придется согнуться, нам будет неудобно, да? That's why we travel in a cab. Okay, we are going to move on, and as you have understood, we are talking about England, and I want you to match different sites with their names given in the box. Внизу в рамочке у вас название мест, да? А вверху у нас картинки. Я хочу, чтобы вы соединили, где что у нас находится.
First one is London bus.
Yes, true. What
And
about...
London is a different.
The big one.
First one, like left side, but first one there is London Eye.
So the first one is a bus, then the second one is the Tower of London, and the third one is what? The Tower Bridge.
Tower Bridge.
Yes. The next one is... Then we have the London Eye, Buckingham Palace, then we have Oxford Street, and then the last one is Big Ben. Well done. Let's move on. We are going to do a listening task now, and you have 8 sites on the slide, and you have to put them in the order as you hear them in the audio. Нужно будет поставить достопримечательности в том порядке, как они упомянуты на аудио. Да? Okay, let's listen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this fantastic tour of London by bus. My name's Greg, and I'm your guide this afternoon on our tour of London. As you can see, we're on an open top bus, so you can see all the attractions from your seat, and you don't need to walk anywhere. And please, don't worry about the rain, I'm sure it will stop soon. And please ask questions at any time.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Do you have extra umbrellas? I mean, if it rains a lot.
No, we don't have any extra umbrellas. But don't worry, I'm sure the rain will stop soon. Right, okay, so where are we going on our wonderful tour? Well, the tour takes 2 hours and we are going to visit all the famous sites. First, we'll see Madame Tussauds, the museum with wax models of famous people and celebrities. Then we'll drive along the most famous shopping street in the world, Oxford Street. After that, we'll see the famous clock, Big Ben, and the Houses of Parliament. As we drive along the river, you'll see the popular attraction, the London Eye, from which you can see the whole city on a sunny day. Then we'll see Tower Bridge and the famous Tower of London before arriving at Buckingham Palace just in time for a cup of tea with the Queen.
Is that included in the tour? A cup of tea with the Queen?
Well, no, not exactly. But there's a lovely cafe near the palace where you can get a cup of tea.
I have another question.
Yes?
Can we have our money back? We're getting off the bus.
Well, yes.
Okay. So
This
please,
recording was brought to you by the British Council.
very
To
quickly,
find others like it, visit www.
very quickly, please in pairs, compare your answers. Compare the order of the slides. В парах сравнения очередности поставили достопримечательность. Okay, so I hope that you are ready, and here is the correct order. So the first one was Madame Tussauds, that's in museum. Then we had Oxford Street, Big Ben, Houses of Parliament, London Eye, Tower Bridge, Tower of London, and Buckingham Palace. That was the correct order. If you got all the correct answers, well done. Maybe you have missed some of them. Don't get upset. Не расстраивайтесь, если пропустили, что-то напутали. That was very quick. We are going to listen to the recording again. Мы с вами еще раз сейчас будем слушать, ребят. And here you have some options with a slash. Slash это косая черта, да? And you'll have to choose the correct option according to the audio. В каждом предложении нужно будет выбрать правильный ответ согласно аудио, да? Let's listen to that and then we'll check the answers.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this fantastic tour of London by bus. My name's Greg, and I'm your guide this afternoon on our tour of London. As you can see, we're on an open top bus, so you can see all the attractions from your seat, and you don't need to walk anywhere. And please, don't worry about the rain, I'm sure it will stop soon. And please ask questions at any time.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Do you have extra umbrellas? I mean, if it rains a lot.
No, we don't have any extra umbrellas. But don't worry, I'm sure the rain will stop soon. Right, okay, so where are we going on our wonderful tour? Well, the tour takes 2 hours and we are going to visit all the famous sites. First, we'll see Madame Tussauds, the museum with wax models of famous people and celebrities. Then we'll drive along the most famous shopping street in the world, Oxford Street. After that, we'll see the famous clock, Big Ben, and the Houses of Parliament. As we drive along the river, you'll see the popular attraction, the London Eye, from which you can see the whole city on a sunny day. Then we'll see Tower Bridge and the famous Tower of London before arriving at Buckingham Palace, just in time for a cup of tea with the Queen.
Is that included in the tour? A cup of tea with the Queen?
Well, no, not exactly. But there's a lovely cafe near the palace where you can get a cup of tea.
I have another question.
Yes?
Can we have our money back? We're getting off the bus.
Well, yes.
Okay, so now again, 10 seconds. Please very quickly compare your answers in pairs or with the person next to you. Okay, and now let's check the answers together. Who can give me the answer to the question number 1? The tour takes how many hours? 2 hours, right? You are. Number 2, at Madame Tussauds, you can see, what can you see there? Right, you are. Models of famous people. Number 3, Oxford Street is a famous street for what? Good, shopping. Number 4, the Queen lives at where?
Buckingham Palace.
The Buckingham Palace, right, you are. Number 5, Big Ben is, well done. And the last one, you can see great views of London from, right, you are. So here are the correct answers. You've got all of them. Good. So now I want you to talk to a person next to you, and in turns, you'll have to answer the questions on the slide. Have you ever seen any of these places? Where did you go? Have you ever been to these places? Where did you go? What did you do there? And maybe there is another city that you would like to visit, and tell which city that is and why. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 minute, and then I will ask 1 or 2 people to answer the questions.
Have you ever been to this?
Okay, 15 seconds, please wind up. We're going to check your answers. Wind up. Okay, so now let's quickly check that together. Has anyone been to any of these places? Кто-нибудь был в любом из этих мест?
Yes, I did.
Where have you been, and what did you do there?
I've been to London Eye and also in Buckingham Palace. I also visited Museum of the Tussauds. It was incredible holidays.
Did you enjoy it?
Of course. That was great time.
Nice, very nice. And maybe another person who wants to answer the last question, which city you would like to visit and why?
I really want to visit Oxford and Cambridge, and I would love to go to London just to see all the sites going around. I think that would be perfect holidays for me. Or someone wants to study in Cambridge or Stanford.
And would you like to
I would like to visit Amsterdam because there are a lot of popular and very interesting places, such as the Winkels, the gallery, the fields of
Okay, shall we move on? We are now going to do some reading, and this is a piece of authentic reading. And authentic means it is taken from real life, right? Real life. Настоящий текст, то есть он взят в каком-то месте, где он используется не для обучения, not for education, but it's used for something different. So what I want you to do is to read this text, and then we are going to answer some questions. So please spend 1 minute reading the text, and then we'll discuss the answers to the questions. Okay, let's move on. And here are my questions. What kind of text do you see? Is it an announcement? Is it some instructions? Is it just some entertainment information? What kind of text is it? It is a short text that does what? It tells about. Who wants to speak?
Information text about Poland, I think.
About the problem that a person can experience in Covent Garden, in the underground station, right?
Yes.
Okay, where can we possibly see it?
At the square,
It could be a square. Where else could it be? In the underground, right? Because it tells how to avoid the problem with the underground. So it could be also in the underground. Okay. Who is this text for?
this text is for tourists.
Yes, for tourists who travel, who use underground to get from one place to another, right? And who do you think wrote it?
The human being who has a very rich experience.
It could be a person who has experience, or
it could be a person who works in the subway, like underground, and wants to tourist create all the situation that's going on in Covent Garden.
okay, right you are. So, and as we said, the purpose is to warn the tourists and to help them, right? And So I have heard you saying about subway. What is the difference between an underground and a subway?
Subway is like in American English, but underground for British. So that's the difference.
Right here, it's the same thing. The only difference is that an underground is the word used for that in the United Kingdom, and a subway is the word used in the United States. So let's continue talking about this text and let's see how well you have understood this text. So when does Covent Garden Station get busy? Yes, at weekends and in the evenings. How far is Holborn Street in minutes?
9
9
minutes.
It's just 9. Yes, and which is further, Holborn Street or Leicester Square? Holborn, because it takes more time to get from that place to the Covent Garden Station, right? And what can help people not to get lost?
Signposts and maps.
Walls, maps, yes, and some notes, signposts, right? Signpost, uказатель. Right here, well done. So I want you to spend 1 minute and in pairs, please answer the questions. If you are at Euston Station, which is in the red circle, what is the best way to travel around avoiding Covent Garden? And avoid means not to go to there, right? And the second square is if you are at South Kensington Station, what's the best way to avoid Covent Garden? Which line should people use? And Covent Garden is right here in the center. There is no circle, but I'm showing it to you. Okay, so who can answer the first question? If we go from Euston Station, which line should we avoid not to get to Covent Garden?
Line and just go on line and have that use line 3 to 1. Like to get from Euston to Kensington.
Yes, so if we travel from South Kensington, then we need to avoid dark blue because it goes here all the way to the Covent Garden. Right you are. Let's move on. And here you have the same text, but I have lost some words from it. Can you tell me what kind of words are missing here?
At weekends and
Good. So we are missing some prepositions, and you have already done 2 of them. Number 1 is at weekends. Number 2 is in the evenings. What about number 3? By walking there from Leicester Square. Good. And what about number 4?
Underground. Above ground.
And number 5? On display. And 6 is at both stations. Let's check if you were right. So it's above the ground and from the very beginning, at weekends, in the evening, you were right. And then we have by walking, and above ground, on display, and at both stations. You were right with that. So I want you to look at the text now and find some words which are associated with some problems. Let's do one together. In sentence 1, we can see gets very busy. That's a problem, right? Gets very busy. Are there any other words which are associated with problems? Crowds, right you are. And which words can be associated with solutions to these problems? Clearly, right you are. So, and it's also about avoiding, right? Avoid the problem and clearly signpost it. And then those are the words which are associated with problems, with solutions, and which join the problems with their solutions. Okay, I want you to continue working in pairs, and I want you to answer the questions on the slide. How do you get to places around your hometown? Is it ever difficult to get to any place during the rush hour? And rush hour means when it gets crowded and very busy, right? And the last question is, what can people do to avoid traffic jams or crowded places? So it's quite similar to listening and to reading. Please talk in pairs. 1 minute. Okay, and let's move on. Here is the last task. I hope that you have talked about the situation when it's difficult to get from one place to another in our town. You're going to write a short note with some tips for tourists or for visitors, and you can use this text as an example and write something very similar to that, okay? I'm going to give you 1 minute for that, and then we'll discuss our lesson and we'll finish it off. Okay, so today we have practiced all the skills. We have done a listening task, we have read the text, and you are going to finish your writing. You're going to write some tips for travelers. And we have done some speaking when you were talking to each other in pairs, sharing your answers to the questions. And we have also done what? We have also revised some words, right? We looked at different sites, посмотрели сами достопримечательности. We have revised positions, повторили сами предлоги, которые используются с разными видами транспорта, с разными местами. On the walls, at the station, in the, что у нас там было? In the square и так далее, да? So, do you have any questions to me? What did you like today? What was your favorite part? Что вам сегодня понравилось? Ребят, who wants to speak? Давайте уже закончим с вами. Who wants to speak? Nobody? No volunteers? I hope this lesson was useful for you. Я надеюсь, что вам, ребята, было полезно. I hope that you liked at least something about the lesson. Я надеюсь, что вам что-то понравилось в уроке, да? I hope you learned or revised some useful language. Надеюсь, что вы повторили, да, полезные слова, достопримечательности разные. So if you don't have any questions, then thank you for the lesson. You may go. Goodbye.